Hello and welcome to this live broadcast on LinkedIn about Team 360 feedback and building a team action plan for performance. My name is Joey Uby and you're very, very welcome to join me on this broadcast. Also, you may be listening on a recorded version, in which case you're also very welcome. So I guess the idea behind today's event, or today's broadcast, is that most of us are familiar with 360-degree feedback for individuals. So people in different roles give feedback to help the individual understand strengths and development needs. But what about team 360s? Is it possible to use the same type of techniques and facilitation to help teams to improve and to build their own action plan for performance? So what I'm going to cover today is the idea, the concept behind this, what it looks like and how it works, what kind of feedback can help a team to learn and perform, the team leader's role, the facilitator's role, and I'll give you some examples as well of all of those areas. So that's what I'm going to cover today, Team 360 feedback, building a team action plan for performance. If you have any questions, please do let me have those as we go along. If I don't answer them immediately, I will pick them up at the end of the session. Alternatively, please feel free to direct message me on LinkedIn if you have any questions, and I'll share the answers with the people who've been on this session today. So if we just go to an initial quote, I think this is a great quote from Patrick Lencioni from The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. I'm sure you're very familiar with this. It was a groundbreaking book around teams. And what he said was, not finance, not strategy, not technology, teamwork. It's teamwork that remains the ultimate competitive advantage, because it's powerful and also rare. So I'm sure that you are looking at this from the point of view of your own team and potentially teams that you work with. This slide is about a mood. So this is about team mood. And I guess I just picked this up because there was a study done by Professor Frank Walter at the University of Groningen in the Netherlands on team performance feedback. And it was called Harnessing Positive Mood for Team Learning Facilitation. The role of perceived team feedback. And that's a very complicated title, but the essence of the study was that by giving the team feedback or allowing them to pull together ideas about how they're performing, individual team members had a positive feeling about the team, and this reinforced their ability to actually learn together. So I think this is very relevant when we come to the part of the session about the team actually building its own development plan for performance. So the objective of using 360 feedback for a team is to create a situation where the team can give itself and give each other feedback without blaming any individual or without criticism, but also as honestly as possible. So it's focused on the team. How does the team operate? How do we behave? Now, this may be a challenge if it's the first time the team has been given a chance to do this. So the feedback can be gathered in a number of ways. The team leader can get feedback from each member of the team, but not sure that's a great idea because you might not want to tell your team leader everything about what's going on in the team because it might feel like you're criticizing her. So an outside facilitator could gather the feedback by simply talking to each team member and putting their feedback together. Alternatively, the team members could write up their own feedback, send it to the facilitator. Now, this might work very well, But without a structure or a set of themes or questions, the feedback will be subject to individuals' experiences. And while this is very helpful, what we are looking for are some consistent themes, as with all feedback. So where are the key consistent themes that are coming out of this exercise? So on that basis, I would always recommend a structured approach. So that means that all the respondents respond to the same questions, or if they are rating in a more formal situation, the same statements. This provides a focus on the key areas of team performance, rather than just general ideas or stories. So the questions should be the same for everyone, and these could be asked by a facilitator or run online. Written feedback is also useful. It's useful in terms of focusing the ratings. So if you've given a rating for a particular statement about the team, giving written feedback helps to put that into context. Now, one question I've been asked about this is, what's the difference between this type of feedback and just putting together the aggregated feedback from the individual team members that they have received as individuals? This is also a very useful way of finding out what the gaps are in skills, but what you're not necessarily measuring in that case is team behaviors. So it may be individuals communicate effectively as in themselves, but as a team, they may have some gaps that they want to fill around that. So a Team 360 is more focused on behaviors that indicate a strong, functional and effective team. So what do those measures look like? Now, there are many excellent team effectiveness models that you might want to use for this exercise. I'm going to share some with you. If you are going to use them, please do make sure that you're using them without infringing any copyright. They have formal tools that you can use, and if you want to use those, then please make sure you're doing those legally and correctly. But they provide a good basis for a 360 feedback discussion in your team. And you'll also find that there are a lot of common themes in these models, so they're all very good, but they also tend to cover the same kind of themes. So if I take you to, for example, the first one is called the GRPI model of team effectiveness. And this model, like many, has a number of headings which then break down into more detailed statements for each of those headings. So you can see the focus here is on team goal and interpersonal relationships. And I'm picking those out because you will find that they are common themes around team effectiveness. Also processes, how the team actually operates. Another model is Katzenbach and Smith, and don't know if you can see this, but we can see that there's accountability, there is personal growth, there are skills, problem solving, and interpersonal. So again, we've got interpersonal relationships as one of the key skills that's needed to have an effective team. So this is the 5 dynamics of teamwork by Lastow and Larson. And this shows the same idea, but in a slightly different way. So you can see here, you've got the individual member, relationships again is so important, and problem solving. So how does the team actually operate, but how do they solve problems? And that's one of the key questions around getting feedback for a team. Leadership is important, of course. And in this particular model, they also talk about the organization and how that supports the team. The Hackman model from 2005 talks about individual team members and a real team. So that's the relationship part. Compelling direction. Again, we've got this idea that we had earlier about goals, about a compelling direction for the whole team. So everyone is working towards a compelling goal or a set of compelling goals. we have slightly different way of looking at it, but the dysfunctions. So this is Lencioni, who we've just talked about, where teams go wrong, where they're not so effective. And one of the things, again, trust, and trust is about relationships, right? So trust is so important. How the team deals with conflict. We've had that in a previous model, how it solves problems. Accountability, again, personal responsibility and results. So again, we're going back to what the outcomes, what the goals are. And interestingly, I thought you would be interested in this Corn Ferry report. This is a great report from the Corn Ferry Institute called Driving Team Effectiveness. And I thought you'd like to, this is a brilliant summary of all the things I've just been pointing out about what you get 360 feedback on for a team. So I'll just leave you to have a look at that for a second. If you are interested in this paper, it is a white paper that Corn Ferry published in 2009. And this talks about those models in a lot more detail, which you may find very useful and specific to your particular needs. One 360 or team type feedback that we work with, which is a fantastic model built by George Carceras and his team at the Team Up company, is called Building a High Performance Team. And that sets out stages of team feedback and development. So the team get feedback or do feedback on their own team on these areas as they develop. And it's a highly effective tool, very well researched, and something I definitely recommend that you have a look at. I guess there's also a bespoke approach. The models that we've talked about, some of them are a specific test, some of them are a written model. You can also think about, or you could look at a bespoke approach. Now, we work a lot with bespoke approaches to 360 feedback, and there was some research done and published by Bracken and Rose, who are experts in this area, who talked about a bespoke approach to feedback and the relevant content. So content that's specific and customized to the unique strategy of the organization helps to engage people with that 360 and reinforces organizational messages. And that works the same way for teams. So it could be that you are thinking about a specific bespoke 360 for your teams. And that can be based on potentially, if you are looking at developing team skills within your organization, you may very well have a model that's been developed in a bespoke way. Well, you can use that to help the team to analyze where they are, to do a 360, to actually measure where they are now. And if I show you one of these bespoke 360s, this is specifically for a team, and this shows you the key areas that in this particular project were key to the team's effectiveness. Now, it's very interesting that although this is a bespoke questionnaire, the first section is about alignment, and that of course goes back to common goal and all facing in the same direction. So one of the critical areas then to make sure if you're doing a Team 360, whether it's bespoke or off the shelf, that it covers the commonality of goals. And you can see here the questions are about the team. So people are not asking about individuals, what they do, what they don't do, but what they're saying is our team has a vision and common purpose for what we're trying to achieve. Now, is that right? Do we have that all the time? Are we always focused on that? Or is it not something that we think about very often? Now, it does have some questions about the team leader, and that's perfectly fine. The team leader should be accountable at the end of the day for the team's effectiveness. So these questions are about the team leader working with each team member to develop their own skills and so forth. The team leader checks to ensure the team has the support to do what they need to do. I think there were 4 areas in this particular 360 for the team. Performance. So this is about the actual what the team does. So it talks about drive and passion, regular performance review sessions. So in one area, it's about attitude and team spirit, I suppose. But it's also about how often do we do these things? Performance review sessions focus on maximizing performance and motivation. How often do we do that? Relationships, as we've said, key to effective team performance. So again, what does that look like within our team? Does the team share successes and challenges, including the team leader? Our team leader has a culture which allows people to do their best work. Do we encourage each other? And so forth. Remember, we talked earlier on about solving problems, dealing with conflict. So one of the areas here that we ask the team about is the team deals with people issues through straight talking with the individuals concerned. Do we confront issues when they're needed? Now, this is an interesting one, reputation. And the reason why this particular competency was included is that this was one of the key values of the organization. And therefore, to make this even more tailored and specific, these questions were included in the 360. So you can see that the 360 was tailored around the key areas that we all agree are important for team effectiveness and follow those models that we looked at. But also reputation. So this was very specific to the organization and was key to making sure that teams were working towards the values of that organization. And to show you what that looks like in the outcome, let me just share a slightly different paper with you. So this is just a quick summary. Now, I don't know if you can see this clearly. I hope you can. Where, let me make it, I don't know if this will make it bigger. I hope it does. You can see that this is how the feedback for the team has been shown. So when the feedback was all done online in this case, and the team all gave their feedback, we started to be able to rank the skill areas from top to bottom based on the ones with the highest to the lowest rating. We also looked at the highest skills, so the individual statements. So where were the highest, where were the lowest? We can see that the team shares priorities and discusses areas, clashes to agree the best way forward. The lowest rated skills seem to cluster around strategic objectives and common goals. So we're already picking up a theme here for the team to be aware of. And then we looked at alignment. So then we started to look at each of the areas, and we can see here that we have the green, which is the team members versus the team leader. And we have deliberately picked out the rating that the team leader has given the team. And we think that that's really important, because if the team leader has a particular idea or a particular piece of feedback, they may be surprised when they see what the team is saying. So if we look at this question here, team members are in regular contact. Now, the team leader has very frequently or almost always. The team members average is quite a lot lower than that. So there may be some calibration necessary for the team leader to see that maybe there's something that she is not aware of that is going on in the team, which is a great opportunity to develop and improve. Again, performance, these are the areas we looked at, and we can see the differences between the team and the team leader, and also the team itself, where it creates, where it's got strong ratings and where it hasn't. So, and reputation. And we've also provided, as you know, as you saw in the questionnaire, the opportunity for people to give some written feedback. Normally there'd be a lot more than this, but I just wanted to give you an example of what that looked like. So the team then are asked, or in the report, what are the key themes coming back from this feedback? How do the themes fit in with what your perceptions are? What strength development areas are most relevant for the team? And which strengths of development might be useful to develop? So if I go back to, let's see. I'm just going to go back to the slides that I was showing you before. Okay, so that is what we were talking about. If I go back to the slides we were looking at. So I guess the next important piece, so we've talked about the content and what questions to ask. So now we're looking for what happens next. So the next critical, I guess, theme on this is the team leader's role. So what is the team leader's role in all of this? Well, it's really important. We've seen that the team leader has an important input into the 360, but she will also need to drive the case for Team 360. So she needs to be really committed to this process and be prepared to take responsibility and ownership of the whole project. So it's something that the team leader is absolutely crucial to. She will also work with the team and the facilitator, if they're two different people, to understand the feedback, support open discussions. So the team leader has to have a really open mind about this and not be defensive and not say, well, I disagree with this, or why have you said this? Why have you given this feedback? That's not right. Because that's going to make the team close in on itself and not get the benefit out of this process. And ultimately, the team leader is going to be responsible for helping the team to put in place and carry out the development goals that they create. So, as I said, open-mindedness, having the trust of her team to help to facilitate team feedback, and also to take it back into the workplace again. So ultimately, the team leader has to create the space and the opportunities for the team to use this feedback to improve. Now, if this is the first time the team has done this, it's really useful to have an external facilitator to keep the discussion on track as well. So a facilitator alongside the team leader, and you can be flexible about how that works. The facilitator's role is, and the process that we would recommend is, firstly, the facilitator reviews the feedback that the team has given about itself with, first of all, picks up the key messages and reviews that feedback with the team leader. So it's important that the team leader is clear on the feedback that's coming through. And the facilitator needs to have the coaching skills to help the team leader to accept that feedback and take it forward. Once the team leader has seen the feedback, the report can be shared with the rest of the team, and then the facilitation can begin. So, as if you were coaching an individual, the facilitator should coach the team together, all in a room, who've had a chance to see the feedback report. We would say maybe give them the feedback report at most a day before the team meeting. Block out some time for the team to get together about this. The first thing to do for the facilitator would be to open the discussion for the team. What do you notice? What is this feedback saying? What does this look like? And give everyone in the team a chance to speak. And as a facilitator, if you've done facilitation, you'll know some people will be more talkative than others. in this feedback process, it's really important that everyone gets a chance to speak. Otherwise, some issues may be missed out because somebody might not want to talk about them. So what are the key messages from this feedback? Do you agree with it? What areas do you agree with? What areas don't you agree with? And then were there any surprises for the team? And provide, open the discussion, an open discussion on this area. And then ask the team what they think the key areas that are coming out of the feedback that they themselves have put together. What are the consistent themes? Maybe focus on 2 or 3 themes that are really important for the team to move forward. They don't have to do everything all at the same time. If the team can maybe talk together, break into little groups, maybe for each area, that might be a way of helping them to get their own ideas about what they can do with this feedback. So we saw 4 sections in the sample team diagnostic that I showed you. So maybe break the team into 4 smaller teams, 4 smaller groups to talk about each area. Bring it back into the facilitated session and start building some development actions. And these could be daily actions for the team to take forward. They could be some trust building exercises, some information sharing exercises, some learning sets. The more that the team themselves get excited about this, the better the feedback's going to be to take them forward to their development plan. And of course, what's great about this type of exercise is the team can do this in 6 months' time. They may not even need so much facilitation. In 6 months, they can go back and run this again and see how they've progressed. So this can be an incredibly powerful performance tool for the team and for the team leader. And that then builds into their team action plan for performance. Just one point, remote or hybrid teams. So how does this type of activity suit remote or hybrid teams? Is it the right thing for them? I would say definitely. In fact, it's really important for remote working or teams that are not always together, because they have less of an opportunity to discuss things in an organic way. Hybrid and remote teams tend to have very structured discussions. In other words, let's speak now. Let's speak about this particular topic. So getting a broader idea of how they're feeling about the team's operations, common goals, etc., is even more important. Technically and logistically, an online team diagnostic is ideal for remote and hybrid teams. But of course, they do need to be brought together in some form for the facilitation when that happens. So I've covered, I think, all the areas that I had planned to cover. So what's the concept behind a Team 360 feedback, and how does it help the team to build an action plan for their performance? I've shown you some examples of models that do this, a bespoke model, something that you can build yourself, or if you need any advice on that, then please do let me know. And the role of the facilitator and the role of the team leader. I hope that this has given you some insights. As I've said, please do direct message me on LinkedIn with any comments and, of course, feedback as well. Thank you for your time and your attention, and I look forward to seeing you at another broadcast very soon.